The new Ferrari is an aggressive car. In Formula One, this approach pays off if managed correctly, as pushing the accelerator while finding innovative solutions can work. All well and good. However, to ensure that theoretical studies translate effectively onto the track, it is necessary to reduce as much as possible the famous margin of error. The Maranello team has paid close attention to this factor, also thanks to the update of various tools within the sporting management, such as the wind tunnel floor. To have a competitive car, a unity of intent is required. The various elements of a Formula One car must be designed to work together. The new pull rod front suspension, for example, introduced to improve the car's overall aerodynamics, has consequently triggered several adjustments to the rest of the vehicle. Just look at the central part of the SF-25, around the cockpit where the driver sits. This area has been modified to refine aerodynamic principles to the maximum and better manage fluid mass. Additionally, the work on the sidepods is particularly interesting. If we observe the intake openings, we notice a different lip configuration that, on the 2025 car, extends further to start working on the airflow earlier, directing it more efficiently. The same applies to the floor area that occupies the space of the old barge boards, where the refined shapes reveal meticulous craftsmanship. The upper part of the sidepods has also been precisely redesigned, as has the area near the rear wing, where the so-called cannon exits are located. Many small innovations to leave nothing to chance. Ferrari has also confirmed the progress made with the 066/15 power unit. Beyond the aerodynamic details, the Maranello team has worked on improving the performance of the beating heart of the Italian car. In recent days, we have already anticipated this aspect concerning the engine, which for the 2025 Formula One racing season has changed its designation. We are talking about the 066/15 power unit. Moreover, 5 days before the official unveiling, we had already revealed the car's new livery. Returning to the topic of the power unit, despite the freeze imposed by the FIA at the end of the 2022 season, we know that a small margin for development still remains. Ferrari head of the power unit department Enrico Gualtieri himself confirmed our report, with all the refinements that the department has implemented to make the power unit more efficient and better integrated into the aerodynamic scheme of the SF-25. This translates into the possibility of achieving better performance, both in qualifying and over the 300-kilometer race distance. It is not a major step forward. After all, the strict limitations imposed by the International Federation prohibit it. However, some expected benefits in terms of performance and fuel consumption have already been partially observed during the Fiorano filming day. Every small detail adds performance to an F1 car, and for the 2025 Formula One season, the Ferrari engineers and technicians has wisely decided to focus on this. There is also another very interesting detail, which we have also pointed out in some of our previous videos. We are referring to Lewis Hamilton's feedback when, after getting into the SF-23 at the Fiorano circuit, he tested not only Brembo's brakes but also the Italian power unit. His advice in this regard proved very useful, considering his long tenure at Mercedes, a team that dominated the early turbo-hybrid era. Lewis Hamilton is the perfect team player. Beyond his larger-than-life persona, humility has always set him apart. We can recall how much effort he put into the Brackley team, taking on the role of a guinea pig, by testing experimental setups to accelerate problem-solving. He did this knowing that his performance would be inferior to his teammates, as he had to experiment with extreme situations to help Mercedes find a way out of its technical impasse. A true champion's attitude, which he is now bringing to the Italian side. The 7-time F1 world champion's vast experience is an incredible asset for Ferrari. The Maranello team is well aware of this, and ever since his first run in the 2023 car, engineers and technicians have prioritized every piece of feedback from the Briton, benefiting greatly from his insights. Last Wednesday, during the second part of the home track test in the SF-25, the Stevenage-born driver provided further crucial information about the car. These impressions, which a driver feels at the wheel, are then transferred to the engineers, a skill Lewis Hamilton has honed over time thanks to his exceptional sensitivity behind the wheel. According to information gathered and reported by various Italian news media outlets, Lewis Hamilton's contribution to accelerating the understanding of the SF-25 has been crucial. We know that the Italian car hit the track in its Bahrain configuration to test the setup that will be used in Scuderia. This data collection is highly significant and is currently under analysis. Ferrari is processing the data after updating its simulator and, thanks in part to Lewis Hamilton's support, has successfully validated several parameters. Of course, Charles Leclerc's valuable input was also instrumental, but in this video, we focus on the new Maranello teammate. Lewis Hamilton has won 7 Formula One World Championships. Now he is at Ferrari and will try to win his 8th crown aboard the SF-25. Late yesterday afternoon, Aston Martin released the first images of the AMR-25, the last car before Adrian Newey takes the helm of the technical direction. It is widely believed that the upcoming season will be a sort of transition toward what is expected to be an era of success, thanks to the arrival of the brilliant English designer. Newey will officially begin his tenure in a few days, and the priority will undoubtedly be the 2026 project. However, the former Red Bull designer recently admitted that if the AMR-25 requires adjustments, he could dedicate a small portion of his effort to this season's technical project as well. It will be interesting to see whether it is worth investing time and resources in the car unveiled yesterday, or using almost all of the aero test allocation for the development of next year's car. In this regard, the sliding scale that regulates wind tunnel and CFD usage percentages in the second half of 2025 will be based on the constructors' standings from the first half of the year. F1 teams aiming to go all in on the new generation cars would prefer to have more hours in the wind tunnel rather than on computational fluid dynamic systems. Aston Martin looks ahead to 2026 with confidence, despite Honda's concerns regarding the development of the new power unit. By a strange twist of fate, the next 2 years will bring back an age-old dilemma. How much influence does a driver have, and how much does a designer impact a team's fortunes? This refers to the added value that Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari and Adrian Newey at Aston Martin can respectively provide. Fernando Alonso, during his time at Ferrari, often emphasized that his real rival was Newey rather than Sebastian Vettel, downplaying the German driver's value while simultaneously praising the talent of the English designer. This was a communication strategy he often used throughout his career to highlight his own worth, despite driving cars inferior to those of his competitors. For the first time in his career, the Oviedo-born driver will have the opportunity to race in a Newey-designed car in 2026. The Spanish driver has not missed the chance to reiterate the importance of a designer over a driver. And who else but Lewis Hamilton could be the target of his remarks? According to the 2-time world champion, Adrian Newey will have a greater impact than any driver. While he cannot predict what Lewis Hamilton will bring to the Italian side, Fernando believes Lewis's contribution will likely be less significant than that of a top designer. The Spanish champion has always been a skilled communicator, but on several occasions, his statements have revealed a clear bitterness toward colleagues who, in his view, have been more successful and more fortunate. For the evergreen ace of Formula One, the driver from Stevenage will inevitably have to adapt to the new environment and contend with a fast teammate who knows the Italian team inside out. According to Fernando Alonso, the 7-time F1 world champion will need to regain some of the confidence lost in his battle with George Russell. However, he believes that the heptacampion can return to fighting for the title if he has a car capable of delivering. That the Spanish driver's long motorsport career has been marked by poor choices is beyond doubt. There is no need to recall it once again. However, unexpectedly, fate could repay with interest all that it has taken, sometimes immediately, from the Spanish champion. Fernando Alonso, physiologically, is certainly not in the prime of his career. On the contrary, he is in the final stage just like the Ferrari driver. But for once, Fernando Alonso will be able to rely on Adrian Newey's expertise, rather than having to endure it as he so often had to throughout his long career. Will it be enough to end the Spanish champion's story in the top tier of motorsport on a high note?